The Grand Celestial Hotel floated in the neutral zone between the Andromeda Gateway and the Terran Expanse, a gleaming monument to interspecies cooperation. Its crystalline spires caught the light of 3 nearby stars, creating a prismatic display that could be seen from parsecs away. For 200 years, it had been the premier destination for diplomats, traders, and the galactic elite. Carl Martinez stood in the lobby, his worn military jacket a stark contrast to the opulent surroundings. The human veteran carried himself with the quiet confidence of someone who had seen too much and survived anyway. His grey eyes swept across the marble floors and holographic fountains with practiced observation old habits. From his days in the Terran Defense Force, behind the reception desk, a massive dragon manager named Skereth loomed over the staff. Her scales shimmered with an iridescent purple that spoke of ancient lineage and unchallenged authority. She had run this hotel for 60 years, and in that time, no guest had ever dared challenge her supremacy. "I have a reservation," Carl said calmly, approaching the desk. "Martinez. Confirmation code 7-7-Alpha-9er. The young Valorian clerker, bird-like species with azure feathers, tapped nervously at the holographic interface. I'm sorry, sir. I'm not finding anything under that name." Skereth's massive head swung toward them, her amber eyes narrowing. "Of course you wouldn't. That's a military code." Her voice dripped with disdain. "We don't accept discount veteran bookings during peak season. Didn't you read the terms, human?" Carl's expression remained neutral. "I read them. My reservation was confirmed 3 weeks ago through the Galactic Commerce Authority. Standard diplomatic rate. Diplomatic." Skereth laughed, a sound like grinding stones. "You're no diplomat. You're just another washed-up soldier trying to get special treatment." She gestured dismissively with one massive claw. "We're fully booked. Try the station hotels in the lower rings." The lobby had grown quiet. Other guests, a family of crystalline Lithians, a pair of wealthy Centaurian merchants, a group of Andromedan scholars, watched a confrontation with varying degrees of interest and discomfort. Carl pulled out his datapad, his movements deliberate and calm. "According to Galactic Commerce Regulation 7.3, Section 42, confirmed reservations cannot be cancelled." Within, Skereth's tail lashed across the floor with a thunderous crack. In one fluid motion, she moved from behind the desk and struck Carl across the face with the back of her clawed hand. The impact sent him stumbling backward, a thin line of blood appearing at the corner of his mouth. The lobby erupted in gasps and shocked murmurs. Carl steadied himself, touching his lip. He looked at the blood on his fingers, then back at Skereth. His expression hadn't changed, still calm, still patient, but something had shifted in his eyes. "I see," he said quietly. He glanced at his chronometer. "You have 8 minutes." Skereth reared up to her full height, nearly 3 meters tall. "I have 8 minutes. To do what, exactly?" "Throw you out myself." She turned to her security staff, a pair of hulking Kroger enforcers. "Remove this human from my establishment." Carl didn't move as the security officers approached. Instead, he tapped a sequence on his datapad. 7 minutes, 30 seconds. One of the Kroger grabbed Carl's shoulder. "Come quietly, human, and I wouldn't," Carl interrupted softly. He held up his datapad, showing a rapidly scrolling series of credentials and authorizations. 6 minutes, 45 seconds. Imelda Chen emerged from the turbo lift. At that moment, her heels clicking sharply on the marble floor. The human woman was impeccably dressed in a tailored suit that bore the subtle insignia of the Terran commerce fleet. Her dark hair was pulled back severely, and her expression could have frozen plasma. "What?" she said, her voice carrying across the suddenly silent lobby. "Is going on here?" Scareth turned, irritation clear in every line of her massive body. "This is hotel business. Whatever commerce dispute you're here to mediate can wait." Imelda's eyes locked onto Carl, taking in the blood on his face and his disheveled appearance in an instant. Her jaw tightened. "Commander Martinez, status." "Assault by management, Lieutenant Commander Chen," Carl replied formally. "Reservation cancelled in violation of GCR 7.3. 42, 5 minutes, 20 seconds. Understanding flashed across Imelda's face. She turned to Scareth, and her smile was absolutely terrifying. "Do you know who this man is?" Scareth snorted. "Some veteran with delusions of importance." "This veteran," Imelda said, her voice dropping to a dangerous quiet, "is Commander Carl Martinez, recipient of the Solar Cross, the Andromeda Star, and the Galactic Medal of Valor. He personally saved 14 worlds during the Void War. He negotiated the Treaty of Proxima. He is a sitting member of the Terran Commerce Authority's Board of Directors." She paused. "And he owns 47% of the shares in this hotel." The color drained from the Valorian clerk's feathers. The security Kroger released Carl's shoulder as if burned. Scareth's pupils contracted to slits. "That's impossible." "The ownership consortium changed hands 4 years ago," Carl interrupted quietly, "when I invested my military pension and compensation. 3 minutes, 40 seconds, by the way." He walked calmly to the center of the lobby, addressing the stunned crowd of guests and staff. "My name is Carl Martinez. I am, as Lieutenant Commander Chen stated, the majority shareholder of this establishment. I came here incognito to evaluate operations based on complaints I'd received about discriminatory practices and hostile management." His grey eyes swept across the assembled staff. "What I found exceeded my worst expectations." 2 minutes, 15 seconds. Scareth's wings unfurled in a display of aggression. "You can't just, I can, and I have," Carl said flatly. He held up his datapad, showing a legal document with multiple authorization signatures. "As of 90 seconds ago, when I transmitted the assault evidence to the GCA and the Terran Embassy, emergency protocols have been activated. You assaulted a GCA board member on neutral territory. That's a Category 1 diplomatic incident. The hotel's main entrance irised open. A full squad of Terran Commerce Marines in powered armor strode into the lobby, led by a stern-faced captain. Behind them came a trio of GCA legal representatives and a galactic arbiter, a member of the ancient and impartial Covenant species. 1 minute, Carl said softly. The arbiter's multifaceted eyes examined the scene with alien precision. Its translation matrix hummed to life. "Commander Martinez, we received your distress signal and evidence packet. Preliminary review confirms assault, contract violation, and discriminatory practices." Scareth's scales had gone pale. "This is an overreaction." "It was just a time's up," Carl interrupted. He turned to Imelda. "Execute the termination protocols, Lieutenant Commander." Imelda's fingers flew across her own datapad. Throughout the hotel, security badges deactivated. Access codes changed. Employment contracts were simultaneously voided across every department. By authority of the majority shareholder and in accordance with GCA emergency protocols, Imelda announced, her voice carrying through the hotel's PA system. All management and staff are hereby terminated effective immediately for gross misconduct, breach of contract, and facilitation of assault. You have 30 minutes to vacate the premises. The lobby erupted in chaos. Staff members protested, guests demanded explanations, and the Kroger security team stood frozen, unsure whether to act. Carl's voice cut through the noise, quiet but commanding. The guests will be accommodated. Their stays are complimentary for the next week, with my apologies. New management and staff will arrive within 6 hours. He turned to You have a choice. Leave now or face formal charges. Assault on a GCA official carries a minimum sentence of 20 years. The Dragon manager's pride warred with her survival instinct. Pride lost. Without another word, she turned and stalked toward the exit, her tail dragging behind her as the former staff filed out under marine escort. Carl finally allowed himself to relax slightly. Imelda handed him a medical patch for his split lip. You could have identified yourself immediately, she said quietly. Carl pressed the patch to his face, feeling the nanites begin their work. I could have, but then I wouldn't have known the truth. He looked around the beautiful, tainted lobby. Humans didn't claw our way to the stars just to be treated like second-class citizens in our own establishments. Humanity, fuck yeah, Imelda said with a slight smile. Carl's answering smile was tired but genuine. Something like that. Now let's find some decent people to run this place. Preferably ones who understand that respect isn't optional, regardless of species. As the Terran Marines established order and the new management team began to arrive, Carl Martinez stood in the center of the Grand Celestial Hotel, bloodied but unbowed. A reminder that humanity's greatest strength had never been physical power, but the absolute refusal to accept injustice, no matter how elegantly decorated. End.